Hey, Mike here. I just wanted to let you know that you can listen to Dark Poutine early and ad-free on Amazon Music, included with Prime.
You're about to listen to a historical episode of Dark Poutine. After episode 149, you will find Scott is no longer with the show. In an effort to maintain continuity and offer listeners as many episodes as possible, we are leaving the episodes in which he co-hosted intact. Thank you. Welcome to Dark Poutine. I'm Mike Brown, creator and host. With me for this episode, finally, is my good friend and co-host, back from the dead, Scott Hemingway. Say hello, resurrected and possibly zombified Scott.
It's alive.
It is alive.
It's alive.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm back. And well rested.
There you go.
Finally.
We'll talk more maybe later about what you've been doing.
Yeah. I've been herding sheep. It's my part-time job.
The views, information, and opinions expressed during the Dark Poutine podcast are solely those of the producer and do not necessarily represent those of Curious Cast, its affiliate Global News, nor their parent company, Chorus Entertainment.
Dark Poutine is not for the faint of heart or squeamish. Listener discretion is strongly advised. We're not experts on the topics we present, nor are we journalists. We're two ordinary Canadians chatting about crime and the dark side of history. Let's get to it. Put on your toque, grab yourself a double-double and a Nanaimo bar. It's time to scarf down some Dark Poutine.
Chomp, chomp.
Nom nom. This is episode 75.
Woo!
That's 3/4 of the way to 100.
Weird. Last one was 71, Mike. What? I must have slept for a few weeks. Cinderella.
You're
not Cinderella.
You Rip Van Winkle.
Yes, I Rip Van Winkled.
There you go. Only a couple of more weeks before we are at CrimeCon in New Orleans. Looks like there's only single-day tickets left, so you can't use the code anymore. Boo! But anyway, we are super excited to get there. We can't wait to meet some of you folks.
Oh my God, I am legit good anxiety. Wake up and I'm like, oh fuck, this is gonna be fun.
So many more sleeps.
Yeah, not very many.
No,
oh man, this is gonna be fun, Mike.
Do you have your passport up to date?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I do too.
You think?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do. I got like a 10-year passport in 2015, and then I promptly gained 30 pounds, so they always look at me weird when I go across the border.
Yeah, no, I had to update it because a couple of years back, 2 years ago or so, planned to do a trip to Seattle with some friends, and like 2 days before, I'm like, oops! And so I had to do that mad scramble and pay the extra to get it done quickly, and yeah.
There you go.
So it's good.
On with the show. This is our third away game, and I think our nerdiest episode yet.
Yeah, I love this. I love this case or incident.
For this slot, last December, I had planned another story from the region, the disaster at Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine, and at the time, that was under Soviet rule. I had no idea there would be a mini-series and a full podcast dedicated to that show at this time. So there are other podcasts talking about Chernobyl right now, too. So, you know what?
I hear the series is great.
It is. It's excellent. I'm all 3 episodes in, and it's fantastic.
Is it a 3-episoder?
No. It's like 6 or 7.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. No, I'm going to have to check that out.
Last week, I also did an interview with Alan R. Warren. I sat in on his interview with Adam Higginbotham, who wrote the new bestseller, Midnight in Chernobyl.
Oh, cool.
And I've been listening to that on Audible, so I'm kind of Chernobyled out.
Yeah, no kidding. Chernobylified.
I'm Chernobylfied, and I'm sure others are too, so we'll talk about that story when the hype has died down.
Yeah, I worked in a warehouse once with a guy who lived very close to Chernobyl when it happened, and he was bald, and he used to always joke, "It's Chernobyl. This Chernobyl making me bald."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You need to watch the show.
Yeah.
It's actually scary.
I bet, yeah.
It's very scary.
Yeah,
yeah.
that whole incident was terrifying.
This story, though, takes us to Russia itself, more specifically, Central Siberia, and before the Soviet era.
Man, there isn't much more desolation than Siberia.
No.
Like, that's like...
We send you to Siberia.
Nobody, I don't think I've ever heard the words ever. You know what? I'd love to go check out Siberia. And no, I don't think those words have ever been uttered. Hey, what you want to do this year for vacation?
Siberia.
Siberia? Nope.
No.
Nope. Not uttered.
This is the story of the Tunguska Event. Still today, Siberia is one of the most desolate and remote places on Earth. After the Soviets came to power, this inhospitable landscape became home to the infamous labor camps of the Soviet Gulag system. At the time of the event, in the early 1900s, the area had a tiny, spread-out population. Today, it is still the last place in the world many people would make their home. On the sunny morning of June 30th, 1908, there was something in the sky. Stunned Siberian villages across an area of over 1,500 square kilometers looked up. They saw a massive blue-green fireball rumbling across the cloudless sky in a northwest direction. Some said the thing was bright as the midday sun, and others said it was shaped like a pipe or a tube. Following the fireball was a bright column of blue light that resembled a spear. A trail of thick gray smoke stretched over 1,000 kilometers behind it. After a few minutes, without warning, there was a flash. It sounded like many artillery blasts, and then came a roaring firestorm. Near the Tunguska River, the massive fireball had exploded. It burst between 5 and 10 kilometers above the Earth and left no crater. There have been larger events caused by meteorites or comet strikes, but this particular event still to this day is the largest in recorded history. The shockwave leveled more than 2,000 square kilometers of Siberian forest. It knocked trees over like matchsticks and set them ablaze in the ensuing firestorm. Barometers as far away as England recorded the shockwave. All the animals in the immediate area died in an instant. There are varying reports that 1 or 2 human beings died in the blast. One of the fatalities was said to have been a reindeer herder 30 kilometers from the epicenter. He'd been asleep in his tent within the blast radius. The explosion picked him up and threw him against a tree. He later died from his injuries. Many of the herder's reindeer died as well. People as far as 70 kilometers away in a town called Vanavara reported feeling the shockwave. They felt both its pressure and its heat. People 700 kilometers away saw the flash and light show of the initial event in the sky. People as far away as 1,200 kilometers reported sounds like thunderclaps or gunshots. The seismic waves raced across the globe. Scientists in Washington, D.C. were able to measure the event, equal to a 5.0 earthquake. Siberians reported the ground behaving like ripples in the water on a pond. A massive electrical storm raged at the site of the event for 4 hours after the explosion. This phenomena can also take place after airburst tests of nuclear weapons. The blast threw clouds of debris and dust high into the atmosphere. This caused noctilucent clouds across Asia and Europe for the next few evenings. This is a rare type of cloud formation called bright nights by some. It is caused by ice crystals in the upper atmosphere. They are visible only when illuminated by sunlight from below the horizon, only while the lower layers of the atmosphere are in Earth's shadow. The photos I've seen are eerie. People across Europe and parts of Asia said you could read a book at night without any other light source. As far away as Sweden, people were able to capture photographs of the landscape at night. This meteorological phenomenon also occurs after volcanic eruptions. There have been human-caused instances of this too, sometimes after launches of the Space Shuttle and the SpaceX rockets. There was a notable level of radiation measured at the site many years later. The actual physical makeup of the fireball is still undetermined almost 111 years later. It left little evidence of itself other than its destructive power. The Tunguska Event is still considered officially unsolved.
Woo, woo. That is cool. I mean, not that a fella died. Reindeer died.
If reindeer, yeah.
Yeah,
Hopefully it was none of Santa's reindeer.
R.I.P. reindeer. But wow, I think totally it was Buck Rogers
from the 25th century.
Yeah, he found a wormhole right through there, and then didn't realize the effect it would have on poor Russia.
Well, that's one of over 70-odd theories that I read.
You know, the thing with incidents like this, yeah, it's gonna result in some pretty fucking great crackpot ideas and theories.
Well, we're a couple of crackpots, so this is perfect for
Oh, this is why I'm so excited.
The fireball itself had been estimated to have been 17 million degrees Celsius at its core as it flew across the sky. If it had been an asteroid, it might have been about 30 meters across and was moving at about 15 kilometers per second.
Holy crackers. 17 million Celsius? My oven only goes to 15. So, I mean...
15 million?
Yeah, that's a lot more than my oven.
I can imagine your oven as a molten lump on the floor.
No, it's made out of titanium.
Ah.
Yeah, or vibranium, or I don't know.
Whatever it is that won't melt at 15 million degrees Celsius.
Some anium.
There is an anium out there that... Yeah. Estimates of the energy output by the explosion put the event at somewhere near 15 megatons, which is 1,000 times more powerful than the bomb they called Little Boy that was dropped on Hiroshima by the United States 37 years later. That bomb helped to horrify the Japanese into surrendering, bringing an end to World War II. So 1,000 times stronger than Hiroshima.
Man, so fortunate that this incident happened in such a remote, desolate area.
Oh my god.
Because the damage it would have done in 1908.
Were this event to occur over a densely populated major city, hundreds of thousands of people could die, causing billions of dollars of damage. Now, if you go to the website nuclearsecrecy.com/nukemap, you can plop your city in and choose a yield of 15,000 kilotons.
And then you can hit the button detonate,
yeah,
which is so cool.
And then you can get a general idea of the devastation it would do. We did it here for Vancouver, and it looks pretty darn bad.
We might here in it looks like we'd be right on the edge of the explosion.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that would be quite devastating.
So here's what would ensue. The fireball from the blast would have a radius of 2.85 kilometers with an air blast radius of almost 5.5 kilometers at 20 psi overpressure. And this is a little nerdy.
Yeah.
Everything within 93.6 square kilometers would be destroyed with 100% fatalities.
Holy shit.
Even as far as 12 kilometers from the epicenter, buildings would collapse at 5 psi overpressure, killing many and injuring almost everyone within 445 square kilometers.
Good God, that is substantial.
As far out as 30 kilometers from the epicenter, where we are, for 2,900 square kilometers, windows facing the blast would shatter inward, and those facing away would break as the air made its way back, filling the vacuum. Many people would be blinded by shards of flying glass as they watched the spectacle from their windows, just as witnessed in our episode 6 on the Halifax explosion.
That's why I always have my back towards windows.
Great.
Yep, I'm ready.
Just in case of a nuclear blast.
Yep, I'm ready. Back of my head will be pretty damaged, but whatever.
If, for example, the blast was centered in Vancouver, the entire city would be leveled. North and West Vancouver, Richmond, and Burnaby would incur catastrophic damage, and windows would shatter as far away as Gibson's on the Sunshine Coast, Point Roberts, USA, Maple Ridge, Langley, and White Rock.
Oddly, though, housing prices in Vancouver would only increase.
That's a terrible joke to make at that time, but I 100% agree with you.
For those who don't get it, like, housing in Vancouver is ridiculous.
We might do an episode on the money laundering at some point once they figure that crap out.
Yeah.
As the Tunguska event was not a concentrated nuclear bomb, the radiation information on the nuclearsecrecy.com site should be ignored for the most part. Although, as mentioned above, there has been some radiation measured at the site. We'll drop a link to the Nuclear Secrecy website in our show notes. It's pretty cool, too.
Yeah, it was a really cool-looking site.
Yeah.
I want to go blow everything up just to see.
Well, you can if you want to.
Yeah, and then push the detonate button. How cool.
Big red detonate button.
Oh, cool, brilliant, well done.
Very intelligent.
Yeah.
The Tunguska event is also considered to be the loudest sounds ever heard by human ears.
Holy shit.
The pain threshold of the human ear is between 120 and 130 decibels. Some rock concerts can go as high as 145. The tinnitus I suffer from, commonly called ringing in the ears, is partially as a result of standing in front of concert speakers without ear protection.
Mike.
Yeah, so hearing loss.
It was worth it.
Because dumb.
It was worth it to hear Megadeth that loud.
It was ministry.
Potato. The
Tunguska event was apparently louder than even the 1883 eruption of Krakatoa, which at 180 decibels could be heard in Australia over 3,000 kilometers away.
Oh, good God, 180 decibels.
Yes.
Oh, man.
It is estimated that the blast at Tunguska rang out at an eardrum bursting 300 to 315 decibels.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, you're a sound guy, so you know the significance of that number.
It's really hard to even just process or fathom, because as you experienced at about 145 at a concert, that's loud.
And
that hurts.
It hurts, yeah.
Yeah, that hurts. One of the last festivals I shot, thankfully I had an earplugs, but I was standing right in front of one of those speakers shooting. It was so loud when the bass hit, my shirt was like vibrating like a fan was hitting it. So 300 decibels.
Yeah.
I'm sure it would knock you out.
Oh, totally. I was able to dig up a number of eyewitness accounts of the event on a Russian site dedicated to the Tunguska event, which is updated as recently as April of this year, 2019, stating that scientists are still learning about the event. And from the newspaper Voice of Tomsk, dated July 15th, 1908, and this is roughly translated.
You don't speak fluent?
I'm not fluent Russian, no.
Oh, I thought you were.
An earthquake occurred in Kansk, Yenisei province on June 30th in the morning. An underground rumble followed. Doors, windows, and lamps swayed. A hum was heard as from a distant cannon shot. After 5 to 7 minutes, a second boom followed, stronger than the first, accompanied by the same rumble. A minute later, another boom, but weaker than the first two. For some time, rumors were spreading around the city that one large meteorite had fallen near the village of Dalaya, some miles from the Tunguska epicenter, and that many saw it when it was airborne. Many similar stories circulated. According to the stories of the peasants from Kansk, to the north 70 miles in Ustyanovo Volost, there was also a tremor of the soil accompanied by a roar.
Oh, no, not a tremor of the soil.
A tremor of the soil.
Oh, man.
Just terrible.
I hate it when my soil tremors. Yeah, and I mean, 1908, so I know there's only theories, as it's still, there's no conclusive determination as to what happened. But you got to think, like, in the most remote place on the planet, 1908 scientists in a communist regime, like,
wasn't communist yet, but
okay,
almost.
Well, but it's still a very, very difficult place to try to get to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like you could just, like, now it would probably be resolved, or there'd be an answer to it. But back then, it's a very difficult thing to source out and figure out. And, you know, then 100 and however many years later, like, it's not going to be as much evidence. So I get that there's still question marks as to what happened, but my God.
Yeah, we'll get into the reasons why it took so long to investigate, too. But you're right on the money about politics and remoteness and all that.
Yeah.
Another paper said the first 3 booms were followed by another 10 booms like aftershocks. A third paper reported that at 7:20 a.m., railway workers reported that a fiery body shaped like a log, trailing dark smoke, flew overhead, and when it disappeared from sight, there was a flash. A strong noise was heard under the railway that rolled like thunder.
Not a fiery log.
Someone's been eating tacos. Maybe there's a... Some eyewitnesses called the thing a flying star.
Pretty.
On the psi.edu, or Planetary Science Institute website, a man who was 60 kilometers away described what he experienced. Yep. I was sitting on the porch of the house at the trading station looking north. Suddenly, the sky was split in two, and high above the forest, the whole northern part of the sky appeared to be covered with fire. I felt a great heat, as if my shirt had caught fire. At that moment, there was a bang in the sky and a mighty crash. I was thrown 20 feet from the porch and lost consciousness for a moment. The crash was followed by a noise like stones falling from the sky or guns firing. The earth trembled. At the moment when the sky opened, a hot wind, as if from a cannon, blew past the huts from the north. It damaged the onion plants. Later we found that many panes in the windows had been blown out, and the iron hasp in the barn door had been broken.
Am I wrong for thinking that would be kind of neat to experience?
Well, the getting knocked out part probably wouldn't be so neat.
Well, as long as there's no long-term damage, like that would be a pretty, like to have experienced something like that, be like, yeah, I was there.
I lived through it, I'm okay.
20 feet.
Yep.
20 feet, flew 20 feet. And look at me now.
Look at me now.
Yeah.
But those darn onion plants were damaged.
Story of my life, Mike.
It's the beets.
Story of my life.
We are trying to make something from the beets.
No borscht for you.
Exactly. From the same website, a second witness said, I saw the sky in the north open to the ground and fire poured out. The fire was brighter than the sun. We were terrified, but the sky closed again, and immediately afterward, bangs like gunshots were heard. We thought stones were falling. I ran with my head down and covered because I was afraid stones may fall on it.
Interesting. I guess that's just the shock wave and probably bouncing off
echoes
mountains and stuff. Yeah, wow. God, how terrifying, though, eh?
As the area was so remote and the nation was rife with political issues, it was 19 years before a scientific team could make it to the epicenter of the event.
And they left the day it happened.
It
just took them 19 years to get there.
They did not. The team of researchers led by Leonid Kulik, and someone who's named Leonid is going to be interested in meteors because there's the Leonid meteor shower.
Whoa.
Well, anyway, Kulik was a veteran of World War I and the chief curator for the meteorite collection of the St. Petersburg Museum, and he tried to reach the site in 1921 with his group, but they failed. They did manage to reach the epicenter in 1927. On both expeditions, the team collected many eyewitness reports existent today.
Mm-hmm.
From an article on the Tunguska Event on the NASA website, Don Yeomans, manager of the Near-Earth Object Office at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, stated that the indigenous Evenks and Yakuts who lived in the area were afraid to speak with Kulik's team at first. They believed that some supernatural power, a god or angry sorcerer, had caused the event to remind them that they should live well.
Yep, no, that's what it was.
Some accounts actually exist saying that 2 full months before the explosion, rumors of the approaching end of the world began to spread among the local tribe people.
Ooh.
Traveling shaman were going around warning people of an imminent cataclysm.
Well, interesting.
Isn't it, though?
Yeah.
Some of the shepherds began to move their herds from Tunguska toward the Lena River to get out of the way.
Wow. That is pretty fascinating.
Right?
Oddly timed for sure.
On April 13th, 1927, Kulik and his team discovered a massive area with rotting logs, blown down and scorched like so many sticks, uprooted and pointed away from the source of the blast. This type of blast pattern was later replicated during atomic bomb testing, and we did see it actually in Mount St. Helens, too.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that was I remember that.
Have you ever been down there to the Mount St. Helens site?
I would so love to. But I remember that happening. I was probably 8 or so, and my dad worked in a lumber mill. I remember him bringing home, like, masks in case the ash got us over here and stuff. It never did, but it was, it's crazy.
Carol and I went actually to the monument there with the viewing site, and you have to drive like 20 miles to get into the viewing site, and you see all the area that was affected by the volcanic blast. It's pretty crazy.
I'd love to check that out.
Yeah, you got to go on a sunny day though, because clouds equal no looking at the mountain.
Clouds, kind of bane of my existence.
Oddly, as Kulik's group made their way to the center of the area, they found the trees directly below the explosion still standing straight. The trees were stripped of bark and branches, looking a lot like telephone poles with no wires attached. The team was unable to find a major crater at the site, but there were what the team thought were small craters a few meters wide and a few meters deep across the area near the center of the blast. They didn't have the means to excavate at the time. These pits were later found to be natural formations caused by the melting and refreezing of permafrost, so no craters at all.
Yeah, and see, like, that's where they didn't have the tools to properly excavate, and so it's back like such a long time ago and so remote. There wasn't pretty much. I get the sense that they kind of arrived there and looked around.
They took their like survey instruments.
And, what they can carry and look around and go.
Their camera with the canvas over it and the big flashbang. Poof.
This is Ansel Adams was there with them taking.
They probably would have gotten some good pictures.
They would have with him, yeah.
Yeah.
I trust that they were probably like the height of science at the time. Like they were very, very good scientists, but just limited in what they could do research.
Yeah, there was no such thing as atomic science at the time, really.
No.
It was all just sort of a pipe dream.
Yep.
The pattern of the blast looked like it had not hit directly, but had spread out like a big fan or the wings of a butterfly.
That's pretty.
Yeah. Kulik was never able to find any evidence of a meteorite from the event, and his explanation was that the swampy, boggy area might have swallowed the evidence which now lay buried.
Sure.
After the break, we'll explore some of the theories, even the wackier ones, about what people believe caused the explosion.
Oh, it's going to get good.
Scott's already talked about one.
I'm drooling.
So we boiled the list of 75 plus theories down to around 10 or so. 10 that I've written, but I'm sure Scott has some more input on this. We'll work backwards from the least likely causes for the event, and some of these are pretty out there.
Oh, man.
So one that I didn't write down, but I feel like I neglected to mention, was people felt that the Russians had actually already tested a nuclear bomb.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
37 years prior to the detonation at Hiroshima.
Yeah, I'm going to go with scratch that one off the list.
Yeah.
No.
So that's probably why I didn't write it down.
Yeah.
It's just one that...
But I mean, I can absolutely understand why people think that, but I don't think that would have been able to sit idle.
World Wars I and II had yet to happen.
Yeah.
Russia would have nuked Germany.
Yeah.
It's a dumb thing.
Yeah.
This one, number 10, is actually kind of one of my favorite theories.
I'm reading it, and I'm loving it.
Nikola Tesla's death ray.
Yes! Oh.
There is evidence from what remains of Nikola Tesla's writings that references the use of his wireless power transmission technology, which he was focused on perfecting throughout the first decade of the 1900s, as a directed energy weapon.
Yep, and like he really had a grudge against Siberia.
Okay.
No, I'm making that up.
In 1907, the French ship Aina exploded in dry dock under mysterious circumstances.
Oh.
Tesla surmised this could have been due to the testing of a directed energy weapon. He claimed he could project his wave of energy to any point on Earth if he desired to do so. He said this could be done very accurately, stating, "The spot at which the desired effect is to be produced can be calculated very closely, assuming the accepted terrestrial measurements to be correct."
Okay. Go Tesla.
Yeah. He was an interesting cat.
Yeah. A lot of geniuses are a little bonkers.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And I'm not a genius, and I'm full bonkers.
In April of 1908, Tesla wrote about this kind of weapon being the, quote, future of warfare, and said, "This is not a dream. Even now, wireless power plants could be constructed by which any region of the globe might be rendered uninhabitable without subjecting the population of other parts to serious danger or inconvenience."
Well, that's, I mean, that's
Scary.
scary, but also how very nice of you to not like damage the people.
Well,
Just everywhere they live.
well, no, he says without subjecting the population of other parts to serious danger or inconvenience. So he would,
okay.
you'd vaporize everybody there.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
The Tunguska event took place 2.5 months after he wrote this. In 1915, Tesla alludes to having tested such a device and again wrote about its accuracy. It is perfectly practical to transmit electrical energy without wires and produce destructive effects at a distance. I have already constructed a wireless transmitter which makes this possible, but when unavoidable, it may be used to destroy property and life. The art is already so far developed that the great destructive effects can be produced at any point on the globe, defined beforehand with great accuracy.
He seems so sure that he's got this.
Yeah.
See, my hang up with something like that, though, is that's a pretty revolutionary technology now. So back then, if you create that, you're going to try to sell. You're going to want to make some loot off of.
But a lot of his stuff was destroyed. Remember, a lot of his work and findings were destroyed. Maybe Tesla was talking about Tunguska in this particular conversation.
I mean, you would target a very remote area to do this test.
Maybe he used this barely populated region to test his death ray.
I think this is absolutely not possible, but anytime death ray is an option, that's got my vote.
I say it's not probable, but I'm not going to say it's not possible.
You are a ballsy man.
I am a ballsy man.
Death ray. You had me at death ray, Nikola Tesla.
So that's my favorite one. So
Yes.
that's number 10. Number 9 is also kind of interesting. So aliens made a boo-boo with a laser beam.
Well, sure.
In 1964, a couple of Russian science writers came up with an interesting hypothesis. The Tunguska event had been caused by highly advanced aliens 11 light-years away, sending a communication signal from a massive planet in the 61 Cygni system.
Yep, that's a great system. Been there a few times.
Been there a few times.
Yeah.
This was a response to the massive 1883 eruption of Krakatoa that disrupted our ionosphere and generated an accidental radio signal that shot towards 61 Cygni.
Uh-oh.
The little green folks received our message and sent one back we were not prepared to receive, thus frying Tunguska.
Seems rational.
As light is easier to focus than radio waves, laser could be a very effective means of interstellar communication. A few articles I read said that the entire Encyclopedia Britannica could be transmitted in seconds.
Sure.
But the cost to power this type of laser is currently prohibitive. But who's to say ET hasn't figured it out?
It's true. It's true. They're far more advanced, and I would imagine their civilization to have a much better economy.
And,
anything alien as well, I'm like, yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Well, there's more about the alien theory next.
There better be.
So, number 8, UFO crash.
Yes!
In keeping with the extraterrestrial theories, perhaps there's a simpler explanation. Some reports are that the thing changed course twice in its observed flight.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Alien craft may also explain the tube or pipe-like shape that some witnesses recalled.
Yep, the brown log.
Yeah, the fiery log.
Fiery log, yeah.
Perhaps an ET ship made a navigational mistake, or worse yet, had a catastrophic malfunction of their craft over Siberia, exploding into 1 billion tiny fragments and showering the area with undiscovered elements and alien DNA.
Okay, I'm sold.
Oddly, there have been some biological consequences to the vegetation in the immediate area of the event.
Oh, that's fascinating. Okay, what were they?
There is evidence of accelerated growth of the trees and other flora in the region taking place almost immediately after the event, as far away as 25 kilometers from the epicenter.
Well, that is interesting.
Also, even more telling is one Russian scientist's 2004 paper noting genetic mutations that have been evident in some trees in the area as well as the insect population.
Ooh, wow.
Perhaps alien DNA has infiltrated the life forms in the area, kind of like John Carpenter's The Thing, and it's just a matter of time before the local ant population mutates into a race of super beings who will force us to do their bidding.
It's also like in Annihilation, but The Thing is one of my favorite movies ever, so I'm going with that. Yes, it's going to happen. Ants are going to super mutate.
Yep.
And
super intelligent ants.
We've got to hand over all of our technology to the ants
because they have one more appendage on each side than us.
Well, and the amount of stuff they can lift.
Yeah,
like imagine if they were
have
like
the
giant.
the bitey things.
Oh my god,
they're mandibles.
I will not even challenge. I will hand over. You can have it all, ants.
Here you go, ants.
If they come to my house, would they have rifles? If they come to my house, I'd be like, nope, sure. What do you want?
They
TV?
would have little ant rifles, yeah.
You want the TV? What do you want? You want my cameras? Just tell me. It's yours. What do you want?
Yeah, please be friendly.
I wonder how they would be at art. Like, I wonder what kind of art they would make.
I don't know.
It was interesting.
Well, I was thinking, well, I don't know why it popped into my head, but ant pornography.
Well, I know why that popped into your head. Because it's pretty erotic.
Because I'm a dirty man.
Because it's hot. Antography.
So there you go. That could happen if it was a UFO crash.
Could you imagine being those poor aliens? You're it's like, what's your destiny? Oh, we're gonna go try to explore Earth, and you make that trip, and you're all like, yeah, we made it. It's Earth. Oh shit, I've lost control. Like you were this close.
Yeah,
you were this close to victory, and then kaboom.
Yeah,
you crashed and exploded a forest.
Number 7 is a bit weird.
Ooh.
Geometeors and ball lightning.
I've heard of ball lightning, not geometeors.
On the fossilhunters.xyz website, they make claims that in 1991, a Russian scientist stated, quote, he believes that the explosion was caused by a strong coupling between some unknown subterranean and atmospheric processes. This coupling formed meteor-like luminous objects but of terrestrial origin. For want of a better word, he calls these objects geophysical meteors or geometeors. A geometeor resembles a high-speed ball lightning. Similar events occur in association with earthquakes, earthquake lights, and in association with a thunderstorm, ball lightning, he says.
Yeah.
The scientist went on claiming that Tunguska was over a massive volcanic crater. He also said, quote, this rare combination of large-scale geophysical and meteorological disturbances manifested itself as follows. First, there was luminous activity in the atmosphere in southern Siberia, which was like falling meteors. At about the same time, a swarm of shallow earthquakes started, which were accompanied by brontides, thunder-like sounds of short duration, believed to be of seismic origin. Then, at the vent of the crater, there was a large geometeor explosion. He goes on to say that science is still unable to recreate this phenomena, but will one day catch up to nature. And I think this guy is full of crap.
Brontides.
I
didn't hear anything past that. I'm just trying to brontide.
Right? So what he's saying is that it wasn't just one event. It was like 3 or 4 different things occurring all at once.
The culmination of 3 or more events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which you know...
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, buddy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, at least it sounds like he's applying some science to this, but
where there's science, there's also science fiction.
Wow, there's a shirt.
There are others who feel the geometeors were man-made. They feel that the government, aware of an approaching comet, created a massive underground weapon reaching deep into the earth, much like today's Patriot missiles meant to shoot down an incoming threat.
Okay.
The remains of the weapon were buried deep underground afterward, and a massive conspiracy of silence has prevented the truth from coming out for over a century.
Oh my God, that's so fantastical. So a few things would have to happen.
Right.
We're giving Russia's government in remote Siberia in 1908 way more credit.
Yes.
Than they probably deserve. So they would have had to have known this thing was coming.
Yeah.
And a long time ago to build such a device underground.
Mm-hmm.
Which, okay, there's a lot of holes in that theory. Or they had just happened to build it there.
Yeah.
And that's where this event happened. And they're like, sweet Christ, wow, I told you this is the place to build it. I told you, Smitty.
Or, Scott, maybe they're built everywhere.
Oh my God.
Maybe they're just only there and they bring it out when they need it.
Like, that's pretty heavy. I'm gonna have to think on that.
Well, let's go on to number 6, because that one is rather silly.
Bonkers.
Number 6 is a rogue ball of plasma was expelled from the sun and created the event.
Wow.
We've seen the damage that simple sunspots and storms can cause as far as communication outages, etc.
Yep.
Having worked for a cable company, we can assure you those things are very real.
Absolutely.
Every once in a while, a group of TV channels on a particular frequency are affected by these storms on the sun.
Mm-hmm.
This could have been a coronal mass ejection.
Whoa.
It's a scientific thing.
Whoa.
Of plasma from a solar flare that slammed into our atmosphere from our own sun and exploded high above the Siberian landscape.
Sure, coronal mass ejection.
The electromagnetic charge that accompanies such a plasmoid may have also accounted for the hours-long electrical storm that followed the event.
Okay.
In 1908, scientists still had a lot to learn about this phenomenon and were years away from being able to predict such a thing.
Yeah, but I mean, kudos for the theory.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one.
It is.
Now let's get into some math.
Oh, so I'll be back in a few minutes.
Exactly. Okay. Number 5 is mirror matter.
Mm-hmm, sure.
Not to be confused with antimatter.
No.
Because that's where people will go.
And it's not that mirrors matter?
No.
Okay.
Well, it actually does mirror matter. So bear with me.
Whoa.
Some physicists believe in the existence of a substance called mirror matter, and that this could explain events like Tunguska.
Ooh.
From an article on high-energy physics phenomenology from Australia and posted on the Cornell University website.
Oh, well, that's reputable.
Mirror matter is predicted to exist if parity, i.e. left-right symmetry, is a symmetry of nature. Remarkably, mirror matter is capable of simply explaining a large number of contemporary puzzles in astrophysics and particle physics, including events like Tunguska.
That's why I hated school. That's confusing.
Well, it made sense to me. This led me to an article with so many formulas in it that it hurt my pea-sized brain, and I almost started to cry. The summary at the beginning was the easiest part that I had to read. It said, in this paper, we examine the possibility that the 1908 Tunguska explosion in Siberia was the result of the collision of mirror matter space body with the Earth. We point out that if this catastrophic event and many other similar smaller events are manifestations of the mirror world, then these impact sites should be a good place to start digging for mirror matter. Mirror matter could potentially be extracted and purified using a centrifuge and have many useful industrial applications.
Oh my! So are they saying different dimensions and matter from mirroring dimensions?
That's what it seems like, but it's like a type of matter that exists counter to the matter that we see. But it's not antimatter. It's dark. Some people will call it dark matter.
Dark matter. All right. Wow.
Yeah, so I'm going to leave the mirror matter hypothesis to the eggheads, but you know what? Like, I don't know.
I don't understand it enough to say that is wrong. Sure. Yeah,
Right?
sure. I guess that's sure. Mirror matter, totally.
And the next-
when people ask me about it, I'm going to go mirror matter.
And the next one is pretty much the same, and this is antimatter, which we mentioned already.
Okay.
This has been a popular explanation of what caused the Tunguska event. It goes that a particle of antimatter somehow made it into Earth's matter-filled atmosphere far enough to go boom and flatten 2,000 square miles of the forest. Like the mirror matter idea, nerds with bigger brains than I have spent many thought cycles debunking this theory with more mathematical theorems that I don't remotely understand.
Oh, man.
I will most likely fall into a deep sleep I won't ever wake up from if we talk about antimatter any further.
I anti-care about antimatter.
So, I don't know. I don't think it was antimatter because antimatter, the second that it comes into contact with matter, it will explode.
Yep.
So
It wouldn't be able to make it down.
no,
to-
it wouldn't
yeah.
have made it into the atmosphere at all.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
No.
Here's a weird one.
Yes!
Number 3, miniature black hole.
They're pretty adorable.
A little-
If you've ever seen one.
you can catch one in Pokemon.
Yeah, they're pretty. I'm trying. Yeah, my
You
man.
need an Ultra Ball for it, though.
Yeah, no, and boy, do I.
In 1973,
My birth year.
two physicists posited that the Tunguska event could have been caused by a tiny black hole slamming into the Earth.
Sure.
Black holes are known to have a crazy amount of mass, and according to Rational Wiki, this particular black hole would have, quote, been somewhere in the region of 10 to the 17th power tons, which is about the same mass as Saturn's moon Prometheus. So that's friggin' heavy.
Yeah. Okay.
The major problem with this idea is that there's no exit wound. All our true crime friends will know that a fast-moving projectile, a bullet for example,
Yep.
either ends up embedded inside the victim, which in this case is impossible as the Earth would have been fully sucked into the hole by now,
Yep.
or it exits, leaving another larger hole. If this happened, there would be a matching hole somewhere on the Earth's surface. And don't give me the quackery about it's in the ocean somewhere.
The black hole is in the ocean somewhere. You think people are?
The hole.
Oh, the results.
Exit, the
yeah,
exit,
the exit
wound.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Well, it doesn't matter because the Earth is flat anyway.
Quack, quack. Number 2, and this is actually a pretty popular theory, but I don't believe it for a second, actually, so
Oh.
that's why I don't give it a lot of time.
Oh, do tell then.
Exploding asteroid.
Okay, why don't you give it time?
Asteroids are made of iron and other solid materials that would have definitely survived the explosion, leaving traces everywhere embedded in the Earth nearby. There would have actually been craters.
Yes, but again, took them so long to get there. Could things have just overgrown?
Could have.
Like the craters don't necessarily always have to be miles in diameter.
But there would be evidence of it.
You would think that multiple craters, no matter the size, would
Well,
be...
The trees were still laying there, 19 years later.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
unless some really diligent rock hounds were out there collecting all the meteor parts,
I know.
hundreds of thousands of meteor parts that were everywhere.
No, I highly doubt it. Although, exploding asteroid is far more fucking rational than dark matter or mirror matter.
Yeah. There may be some. I read in one place that someone said that they found what they believe to be matter from this event in Antarctica. But
Oh, interesting.
how do they prove that? Like,
Yeah. How do you... Yeah.
Yeah. Again, eggheads. Please prove this to us, eggheads. Have a good conversation with me. Leave me an email that I'll promptly delete. Because I probably won't understand what you're saying, and we won't do a follow-up show.
Eggheads@gmail.com.
Yeah, pretty much. Here's the number one theory that
Okay.
I kind of like.
Okay.
A comet entered the Earth's atmosphere and exploded.
Yep.
This is probably the best explanation I've heard. Comet Enki orbits every 3.3 years and would have been passing around the summer of 1908. A massive chunk of the comet, composed mainly of dust and ice, possibly entered the atmosphere moving at that 15 kilometers per second, overheated, and went boom over the Earth's surface, creating a fireball and a shockwave, but no crater.
Yep.
The fact that it was ice would explain the lack of fragments. Ice melts or perhaps was even vaporized by the explosion and just absorbed by the Earth.
Yeah, I sounds absolutely rational.
Right?
Yes.
Isn't that bizarre?
Yes.
But why does Tunguska still generate interest 111 years later? Well, all these possibilities I gave are still just that, possibilities.
Yeah, well, anytime there's something unsolved, it's going to generate some wackadoo ideas.
That's right. And we're all about wackadoo ideas when we're not talking
Oh, yeah, keep 'em
about
coming.
murder.
Yeah, keep them coming. Bring on the wackadoo.
Yeah, we want to do some more wackadoo.
Yeah.
Also, isn't mankind fascinated with a good apocalypse?
yeah, there's this little book called the Bible.
Right?
Yeah, no, it's so how many shows are based off of an apocalypse?
Yeah,
you know,
like
and
zombie movies.
Yeah, and surviving through it and stuff. I love those stories. Sometimes, now, don't judge me. Sometimes I'm fascinated about an apocalypse.
Sure.
Simply for the fact that it's like, oh, phew, no more responsibility. I don't have to pay bills. I don't have to worry about work. All I got to do is survive.
I don't think
That's
about
it.
it that way.
Survive. That's all. I've just got to survive.
You have a very romantic idea of apocalypse.
Well, I don't think it's gonna be like flowers and unicorns, but like it's like
You don't have to go to work.
all I gotta do is forage. I don't have to worry about bills. Woo!
I think foraging would actually be harder than going to...
Don't shit on my
oh, well.
apocalypse parade, Mike.
There's been many books and movies written about, like, specifically about an event like this, like an Earth impact.
Yep.
Armageddon, Deep Impact, made about the events like the one we've been describing tonight.
That's a great documentary.
Carol hated Deep Impact and likes to call it Deeply Impacted Bowels. Yeah. Who hasn't had thoughts that Earth might wander unknowingly into the path of some as yet discovered giant asteroid or comet and be smashed lifeless by a big dumb rock?
Yeah, it is a plausible
Totally.
event. Likely, negatory. Plausible.
Probability, again, probability versus possibility.
And if we're looking at the life of a planet, sure, it might happen at some point way down the road.
Yeah.
But,
major apocalyptic impacts have happened before,
Yes.
like ask the dinosaurs.
Yep, I did, and they agree.
Yeah, they're not here to
They're like,
ask.
no, it wasn't fun.
Now I'm a bird. Now I'm a raptor. The largest impact known to mankind happened over 2 billion years ago. It's the Vredefort crater in South Africa, also called the Vredefort Dome. It was initially 300 kilometers across after a mountain-sized meteorite smashed into the Earth.
Holy jeez.
It's huge.
Wow.
The second largest impact happened 1.8 billion years ago right here in Canada and left a 130-kilometer wide crater in what's now the Sudbury region of Ontario.
That explains a lot about Sudbury.
I like Sudbury.
Yeah, but I don't know anything about it. I just thought that would
You're
be funny.
just being funny.
Yeah. Sudbury.
And if you really want to know what a lifetime worth of craters look like, take a peek at the moon through a telescope.
I'm doing that right now.
She has no vegetation or water to cover her scars.
But lots of acne scars.
It's terrible.
For the moon, yeah. We have done some proactive up there.
Exactly. People probably picked on her in her teens.
Ah, God, the struggle is real.
It'll happen again someday, but who knows when. Impacts with the power of those like seen at Tunguska happen only every 300 years. We have nothing to worry about, or do we?
Dun, dun, dun.
I had my own personal experience with a fireball.
What?
Yeah, my friend Mike Zink and I, he's passed away, God rest his soul.
R.I.P.
He and I were driving to his parents' place in the late 80s, and we heard this thing before we saw it. And we were driving in his car, and he had the sunroof out of his car, and I remember seeing it through the sunroof first. I looked up, and there was this blue-green big thing just rumbling through the sky. And what it was actually an asteroid that, or a meteorite at that time, that struck somewhere in Quebec.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were in Nova
For real?
Scotia, and we saw it. We saw it pass over our heads. It was pretty fascinating.
Wow, I would imagine.
Yeah, we actually, he just pulled the car over and we just got out and watched it go.
How fast was it going? Was it like pretty slow?
It looked like it was moving slow, but it was probably going like 15 kilometers per second.
But that high up, it looks just like planes when when you watch a plane go over it looks slow, but it's not.
But you could hear it.
Wow.
You could hear this.
Like you could hear the rumbling of it. Holy shit,
Yeah.
that would be crazy.
It was very bonkers.
Wow.
Yeah. And, you can Google, there's impacts every year like this. Yeah. And there was a bunch a large one that was caught in Russia again.
Yeah, I remember this one.
Very recently that blew out a bunch of windows and all that kind of stuff.
I remember that one.
Yeah. So welcome back, buddy.
Woo! Thanks. It is really good to be back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels really good to be back in my chair.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for this week's case. That was a good one.
What a good one to come back to. That was fun.
Right?
Yeah.
I needed a palate cleanser after talking to your poor wife about what she'd experienced. And
yeah, I haven't listened to that episode yet. I'm going to probably do it on my drive to work tonight. But I heard she cried.
Yeah. Yeah, so she and Carol did a bang-up job. Someone referred to them very rudely in a review as interns. Your interns didn't do a very good job.
Oh my God!
You know what? These are our wives.
Jesus.
These were our wives that were doing it. What do you think this show is? Do you think we do it in a big studio and we have people getting us coffee and shit like that? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't happen. It's me recording it.
Yep.
Scott comes over. I write, edit, record. Scott comes over. We tell a story. We sit here and talk about the story. And then he goes home, I edit the thing, and we put it out for you every Monday.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. There's no interns.
No, we don't have assistants.
No.
There's nobody fanning us and feeding us grapes while we're recording.
There's no one out running around doing shit for us.
No.
It is us that do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, well, again, it's... the internet, man. People are going to hate everything, it doesn't, it sucks because I thought they did a great job. It sucks that a person disagrees. I thought they did great for not being people who sat there and were like, this is something I want to do with my life. Or this is something I'm going to start. Let's spur the moment. Sure, I'll do it.
I needed help and they offered.
Yeah, and I thought they did considering that. Even if it wasn't just something that last minute. They did great.
Because Scott left me alone.
I did. And I wanted to test Mike's abandonment issues.
For a moment there, I was feeling it.
Yeah. Well, sorry, but
it's all
good. I had to jump at a last minute opportunity.
And I'm glad you did because
it's working out great now. Yeah. It's working out great now. So it's
So you're back with the show regularly.
I'm back
Nice.
and excited about New Orleans.
Me too.
Yeah.
So before we go, we want to give some shout-outs to our Patreon patrons. This week's good eggs are Michelle Way.
Oh, hey, Michelle Way.
She's from way far away, I think.
Yep, way, New Brunswick.
New Brunswick?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's way out there.
There you go.
Way out there.
And what does she do in New Brunswick, Scott?
Oh, she's a button designer.
Oh, she designs buttons.
Yeah, she designs buttons.
Like the ones that advertise things or the ones that hold my pants up?
No, yeah, the ones that hold your pants up. People don't think about how much detail goes into that design, how much thought and how much effort goes into.
There are physics there at work.
Long hours.
Yeah.
Long hours. You don't want to keep replicating the same design, but yet you do have to stick with the round. So you're limited. You're limited to what you can.
I've seen them octagonal and.
Yeah, but we all know what happened to those designers.
Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't last in the industry long, And so,
right.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited about Michelle Way's work. She's a great button designer.
Tina Coughlin.
Yep.
I don't know where Tina's from.
Tina is from. Oh God, it's on the tip of my tongue. I've been there a few times. Taiwan.
You've been to Taiwan?
No, I've never been to Taiwan.
No. What does she do in Taiwan?
She teaches Muay Thai.
That's Thailand.
But you could learn Muay Thai in Vancouver, Mike.
Yeah, fair enough.
So don't limit Tina's options.
But it is a Thai martial art.
It is. Yeah. And
thus Muay Thai.
And she's great at it. You should see her arms, dude.
Does she have amazing shins?
Oh my. She could knock a tree down like Jean-Claude Van Damme and kickboxer. Yeah, no, she's tough as they come. She is tough as they come. She used to train with GSP for a while.
Oh, wow.
GSP has been reported to say, I would never want to fight her. I would lose.
Speaking of Jean-Claude Van Damme, did I ever tell you the story about watching Bloodsport with the Grand Master of my martial arts style?
No.
So his name was Daniel K. Pai, Dr. Daniel Pai, and he's passed away. But I was taking a Pai Lum, or Bai Lung, which is White Dragon style Kung Fu. And I got to meet this guy and hang out with him, and we had a few drinks. It was interesting. But we're hammered watching Bloodsport.
Yeah.
And he looks at me, and his English wasn't the best. And he just said to me, dancer, not Kung Fu.
It's true, though. He was a dancer.
Yeah. Ballerina.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I got private lessons that night from a drunken grandmaster of White Dragon Kung Fu.
That is pretty great.
Yeah. Pretty fun.
There's gifs of Jean-Claude Van Damme dancing in the background in the movie Breakdance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen that.
So he was a dancer.
We got a patron from Mount Pearl, Newfoundland, and his name is Patrick Keene.
Oh, cool.
Thank you, Patrick. I'm glad that somebody from Newfoundland is not offended by my shitty accent, as apparently a couple were. But I don't mean any harm. We come in peace, and we love Newfoundland. I mean, I'm half Newfoundlander, I found out now, so...
I legit want to go there someday.
Yeah, me too.
I want to visit the East Coast.
I would like to go back. Sheena Anderson from Victoria, BC.
Oh, local.
Thank you, Sheena.
Yeah, Sheena. Thank you.
Jean Menzagian from Salem, New Hampshire, and she's a new PM.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Jean.
Thanks, Jean.
Wow, Salem. Any place that's named Salem, I'm good with.
Salem, Massachusetts is the spooky one, though, right? I think.
I thought it was Oregon.
There's one there, too.
There's one probably every state.
Chantel McClellan from Thompson, Manitoba. It reminds me of the song Thompson Girl by the Tragically Hip.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Chantel.
Jessica Wink from Yellowhead County, Alberta, out there on the prairie.
Sounds remote.
Well, it is. I think it's close to the Klaus family area where we did that episode while you were away.
Yeah, it was a good episode.
Christina Kopp from Thornton, Colorado.
Hey, Christina, thank you.
Jamie Johnson from Lethbridge, Alberta.
Oh, do you know? Nope, that wasn't even going to work. I was going to say Trevor Linden, but that's
he's from Medicine Hat.
Yeah, exactly. So, but maybe you still. The question still stands. Jamie,
she probably does.
Do you know Trevor Linden?
Jennifer Miller from Surrey, BC.
A local.
And interestingly, I did my DNA, so I did my father DNA and my family finder DNA because I don't know who my father is. I actually have discovered. Now I know exactly who it is. But anyway, Miller is one of the most popular surnames in my DNA.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And then the next are like Cohen and Greenberg and other interesting Ashkenazi names.
So maybe you and Jennifer are related.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I found out I'm actually related to the husband of a girl I know from high school.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's not bonkers.
I gotta do these one day.
Yeah. Marth KB from Edinburgh, Scotland.
Hey, Scotland. Oh, yeah, my homeland.
It reminds me of my grandmother. You're away with the fairies.
Yeah, Scotland is probably one of the top places I want to go.
Yeah, I would love to. Well, because the word Scot.
Well, I'm named after the country.
Of course you were.
Yeah, my brother got named after all of grandparents of James Gordon Hemingway.
Yeah,
and I got the country, which I'm okay with.
I don't think I'm named after anything.
No.
Well, my birth name was Christopher Jude, so I was named after the song "Hey Jude."
Oh, well, that's quite lovely.
Yeah. Thanks, Diane. My birth mom. She's awesome.
I've met her. She's amazing.
She's a great lady. Thanks so much to our patrons, past and present, for your pledges. Glad you stuck with us. We really appreciate your support of the show. If you want to help support us, you can do so at patreon.com/darkpoutine or For one-time support, you can send us some donut money via PayPal at our email address, darkpoutine@gmail.com. And this week, we got donut money from Brandy Tuesnard and Susan Nosworthy.
Hey, thanks, Brandy and Susan. We appreciate everything.
And I know Susan is from Australia.
Oh, sweet.
So she's a nice lady.
Yeah, bedwetter.
Bedwetter.
Bedwetter, give me a water box.
Water box. Nice lady. You want to put some shrimps on the barbie?
In my water box.
Exactly. Oh, God, I'm a terrible person. If you don't already, it would mean a lot to us if you subscribe to the show. You can easily find us on iTunes Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, or Spotify, or wherever else you get your on-demand audio. Check out our website, darkpoutine.com, for show notes and other cool stuff. I'm putting some pictures up there now with if I come across them from in my research I did last episode.
Yeah, sweet.
Please give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for Dark Poutine. Most importantly, tell your friends about us. Word of mouth is a powerful thing.
We've relied on it. And
yes,
it's all
we
been
do.
Great.
Join us in our Facebook groups. You know the words. Lumberyard, Barnyard, Craft Barn.
Yeah. It's growing.
It's bonkers.
It's growing.
But if you come and you join, it is not a true crime community. Don't get that in your head.
Yep.
This is a community where people are there to have fun. So don't be an a-hole, because if you're an a-hole, you go out on a rail.
Yeah, every once in a while somebody joins in expecting it to be like nothing but case discussions and whatnot. Feel free, but no, I mean...
You can talk about that if you like.
It's really just a community of like-minded people who like to talk and share and laugh and say positive things. So it's great if you want to participate. If you're looking for like true crime discussion, I don't know, maybe find somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. We're there to make friends, and we have made a lot of friends.
Literally. That's exactly, I think, the best description. It's there for people to make friends, and people have.
Yeah.
Relationships have been built through there, oddly.
Oh, God. Yeah. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a dating site, essentially.
It's called Poutiner.
I don't know how well that would do.
I don't know.
The only
well, maybe it should be called Dark Poontang.
Oh, shit. Great time to end.
Yeah. So that's it for this week. Don't forget, until next week, be a good egg and not a bad apple.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Chowder.